welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Australian Esports League Uni League for Season 1 of 2022. I'm Kadius, joined here on the casting desk by, once again, the Wandering Bard, and we are excited to be hopping into another great game of Dota 2 tonight. It's going to be between USYD No Tinker, who just came off of a loss from last week, and a team that I'm sure plenty of people out there are excited to look at. It is one of the grand finalists from last season. It is previously known as Adelaide, this year being known as UofAndros, I believe. So definitely a very, very interesting name. But Bud, how are we doing? And let's throw it over to the picks and bans.
Well, thanks for that stellar intro, Kadius. Certainly hasn't hurt my mood. It's a good mood getting to watch two teams that are sort of, a bit storied in the Uni League, and certainly with some really interesting results in the first week or two of this season, now coming to measure their strength against one another. As you mentioned, right, this squad previously, the Adelaide team, now renamed in honor of, I guess, their spiritual leader, Andros, is a real force to be reckoned with, or at least has been. But then we've seen plenty of upsets go by in the even in just a couple of games we've cast so far. So I'm excited to see whether or not that team will live up to their past reputation, whether or not No Tinker can bounce back. Sort of as you said, they've had some stumbles early on, and this draft is obviously going to inform a lot of it, as we've seen drafting be kind of a gap between some of the teams thus far in the AEL Uni League Semester 1.
Yeah, so bans already, we can talk about them. Tiny, obviously, no surprises there. We were talking about this on the last stream. He is the hero of Dota at the moment, extremely representative in the meta share. Invoker getting taken away as well, which I do know that, obviously, you know, this lineup, Adelaide grand finalists from last season, they definitely know their stuff, probably quite aware of maybe Invoker not being the best against the composition that they're looking to play here. And on the other side, we do see the IO immediately locked in, which going to be interesting to see what they respond with, and it is going to be the Clockwork on first pick for the Dire side, and we'll see what they decide to pair it up with. Now, I'm going to be interested to see if they put any stock into shutting down the IO gyro combo, or whether or not they're just going to maybe like leave that completely up and prepare something for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this is one of the periods where IO is sort of as open in his choice of partners as I think the hero's ever been, right? There have been periods where if you see IO, it's always Tiny, or if you see IO, it's always Gyrocopter. And then that's just not been the case lately. Like, I've seen much more Gyrocopter 5th position than I have Gyrocopter carrier. And while I do think it's still a completely viable option, right? Like, teams just, they aren't as automatically drawn to that, or they aren't trying to force it, it seems like, in the past, where it seemed like a package deal with this hero. So I am curious to see exactly what No Tinker have in mind for the IO hero, or even if they're just picking it like knowing that they'll pair it with any carry, right? Like maybe they just think that IO is strong enough in its own regard, so long as they lock out certain heroes that normally deal with it pretty well. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the more like AoE counters, like people like Disruptor, banned out if you really want to protect an IO, and certainly first picking it is a lot of intent behind that hero, but already some pretty good answers out of UofAndros here. Clockwork and Jakiro, both very good at getting onto the IO, at separating IO from the target, and in general at laying down the kind of AoE crowd control that punishes relocate.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be the team to watch this season for sure. You know, we saw UOW, who were the, Season 1, Season 2 back-to-back grand champions of the 2021 seasons. Whereas, moving into 2022, obviously it's a university league. A bunch of those players have graduated, and the UOW lineup is completely different. None of the players are really the same. And, we saw a little bit of a shaky start this season, whereas this lineup, this is literally the same exact team as Adelaide, player for player. So if they were able to get to the grand finals last season and they don't have UOW standing in their way, this is definitely a serious competitor for, the team to beat this season. So USYD No Tinker already coming off of a 0-1 start to the season. They're definitely going to have to be bringing their A game in this match in order to pull this one off. I'm going to be excited to see if they pull through and definitely what they bring to the table.
Yeah, I mean, I recall, obviously, there were some good games still out of this No Tinker lineup. I wouldn't rule them out completely, but as you mentioned, pretty dire circumstances in terms of the opposition, with such experienced players coming in. I don't know if we can't really like borrow the US college sports terminology and talk about, senior teams and all that, but it is kind of the same dynamic that you mentioned, right? When players want to age out effectively, or just pass through the university system, you do have just this even more valuable advantage when you've been able to keep a core group of players together for a couple of years, and they're coming back in with that experience of playing together and the synergy that they've built up. Not to mention the individual skill on offer in this lineup. So that's it's a lot of things pointing in the favor of UofAndros. They've also certainly not been neglecting their draft. Obviously, they were thinking about it as much as we were. They've banned out the Gyrocopter in anticipation of that becoming the IO partner after all. I mean, do you think there's any... Obviously, the laning stage might not, pair them together, but this IO Legion Commander combo, I believe we saw No Tinker pick it before. Is it possible that this is just... to them already a good enough pairing? Like, they just enjoy the possible combination of steroid skills and the ability to move heroes around the map for duels?
I'm not exactly sure. I just think obviously a Legion Commander is just a good pick into this comp. Whether you have the Legion Commander as a core, whether you put it as, the position 4, position 5, and just have it as a bot to click press the attack if someone gets ice pathed. I mean, that's always going to be something that's great. And not only that, but, Legion Commander naturally wants to go for a build that makes her a fairly undesirable target for Clockwork to try and engage on. If you're Clockwork and you hook shot in, you put the cogs around Legion Commander, you click... You click shrapnel, all of those things, and Legion Commander turns around, maybe pops like a blade mail and duels you. You could just die straight up just from that. So Legion Commander, not a bad pick into these two heroes that we've seen already, but it did look like the DIO did end up wanting to get rid of that IO Gyrocopter synergy. They banned it out here from the get-go, from that second ban phase by the looks of things here, and we'll have to see what they end up going for as a position 1 instead. Obviously, you mentioned that other great cores along with the IO are things like the Tiny, but that's also banned out, so they might have to go a little bit down the pool of matchups, I suppose, that you can pair with the IO Spirit in this safe lane.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the USYD problem, I think, right now is that, especially when they're considering picking their other cores, right? You've got to pick cores that are synergizing with the heroes you've picked so far. You're kind of, even with just these 2 picks revealed so far already, in my mind, relatively committed. This is definitely a draft that's kind of not capable necessarily of playing the highest tempo Dota, and it's more about the ability to turn fights or take fight, like collapse on a fight very suddenly, right? Like, Legion Commander can lock a target in place for a while, or if you're on the defensive in an engagement, she can prevent a target from being bursted with, the cleanse from press the attack, and then your IO provides such powerful global mobility. It kind of puts a bit of a chilling effect on the opponent's ability to fight you in the early to mid game, and so they're kind of going to be picking around that, I think, with maybe a slower developing carry, or albeit one that does synergize with the attack speed and other benefits of these two kind of supporting heroes, even though Legion, could easily be a core. But then I worry that a lot of the heroes they might normally pick already can get punished quite hard by Clockwork and Jakiro. You mentioned that, Legion is not the ideal target for Clockwork's whole combo, but even if Clockwork can't solo kill Legion, I think breaking off or cancelling out a duel effectively with the use of, the Clockwork Q and, if not Jakiro's own spells, is good enough. And now they have Necrophos as well. So just piling on more single target disable, or more ways to take your hero out of a fight. So, when you're picking Legion and IO who like to buff up a single carry, there's no reason for, University of Andros to not just pick the opposite of that. Heroes that are great at focusing down and locking down a single target.
Yeah, I mean, the Necrophos pick here is obviously really good. You have 2 strength heroes picked off the bat, so you know that there's going to be high health pools. Heartstop Aura. Yeah, 3 now, obviously, so it's even better. So you know the health pools are going to be high. You pick the Necrophos into them with the Heartstop Aura. Going to be pumping out massive amounts of % health damage. And not only that, but, if you are playing against the IO, really good way to shut down whoever IO is pocketing is just kill them, just Reaper Scythe them. They die, well, you can't regen them anymore, I'm afraid. You know, they're just going to die from like half health. And that's all you can really say about that. And then obviously, trying to play Legion Commander into Necrophos can be hard to duel him sometimes because, you know, if he's invulnerable and you can't auto-attack him, then duel's a little bit useless. And then on top of that, you know, if you duel someone else, Necrophos can sit there and spam heals next to them and make it very difficult to get that duel victory. So overall, I do like the Necrophos pick quite a lot here, but they go for the Snapfire Void Spirit in response. What do you got any opinions on those picks there, Bard?
I'm really starting to see a really effective mid-game plan coming together, right? It looks like I think No Tinker are going to be relatively chill, at least like conservative in the laning phase, right? Heroes like Legion are just going to be solid in the lane. You've got the potential to have something like a Snap Legion off lane and IO plus a carry, or you could pivot those supports. You've still got that flexibility, so you're not locked into punishing lanes. But then just look at all the combinations between these heroes when it comes to killing individual targets around the map, right? You can duel someone and drop Mortimer's Kisses on them. You can duel someone and drop Void Spirit combo on them. You've got a good mix of ways to find and get onto heroes immediately, and a lot of other ways to then bring a ton of extra damage quickly to that fight, be it by relocating an extra hero in, moving a very mobile burster like Void Spirit, or just a super long range nuke of Snapfire. So, you know, you can see them preparing and, you know, to set the pace. And I said that they would be a slower tempo draft, but as they get more and more of these overlapping tools, you're able to play faster because whichever skill isn't available to secure one kill, you'll probably have a different ultimate that's just as good for taking a hero out. So you're sort of challenging, you know, the opposition to keep up with you and stop you from just reaping a steady harvest of hero pickoffs around the map in the mid game. And a hero like Necrophos is very hard to bring down himself, but he isn't always the best at directly responding to those kinds of movements around the map, right? Maybe you rather just push out a lane instead. And I think Bloodseeker is kind of a concession to the need to have a more mobile and active fighting core who is able to quickly arrive at fights thanks to the Thirst move speed. I also, Kadius, I just want to check in one thing. I don't know if we're both misleading one another, but the game that we cast for No Tinker in week 1 was against UOW. They won that one, right? It was UOW who were upset.
Yeah, actually, I think you are right.
Yeah, I think we had the right narrative for that match, but we had the sides wrong. And I think because I remember Balance's offlane in particular, the offlane Legion play was intense.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is really potentially a clash of two of the better teams in the entire tournament, just on past form, because as I'm remembering it, the No Tinker form in that BO2 at least was destructive, right? They easily 2-0'd that UOW squad, which, you know, as we mentioned, has had some players rotate out, right? So we're gonna see. Maybe I'm misattributing these details now, but I am ready to anticipate potentially a really close or at least very high level matchup here. Although this Kunkka last pick looks really, really strong.
Yeah, no, I do like the Kunkka. I mean, obviously it's a treat to watch Reem in the mid lane. Pretty much, you know, whoever he decides to try and pilot on these heroes. But the Kunkka, especially position 2 Kunkka, always one of my personal favorites to watch, and it's going to be a ton of fun to watch. You know, some massive Tidebringers get put out in the mid lane here, but. Definitely balance on this Legion Commander, you're right, is who I'm going to be watching absolutely destroy 2 games in a row from the position 3 role. And I'm going to be keeping an eye out to see if, you know, he's able to do that in another set of games here. But before we hop into this game, if you want to read out our sponsors real quick, of course, Bard, and who exactly is bringing us these wonderful games.
Yeah, I mean, without these sponsors, we would not have been able to follow the journey of a great player like Reem Nizzle throughout multiple seasons of AEL. We wouldn't be able to build up the anticipation for 2 such storied and successful teams. So, of course, those sponsors primarily are Predator, our gaming PC partner, with whom you can, enjoy the power and precision of elite gaming experiences. Just let the hardware elevate your gaming and your performance, thanks to Predator. With AOC, they're, of course, our monitor sponsors, a global leader in monitor display technology, who have been bringing an exceptional viewing experience to millions of loyal customers worldwide for more than 50 years, which is... I really could not have even been sure off the top of my head that they've been making monitors that long. But hey, AOC, they are in the business of great monitors. And Rig, of course, providing the sound to go with that visual. They deliver superior audio with their excellent gaming headsets. Whether you're gaming, streaming, listening to music, you can join the Rig team to enhance the experience. Just like this Wisp will be enhancing the carry experience of Loved on the Luna. I mean, this Luna pick, we've seen it. I've seen it destroy games already in this league, but it's certainly a hero that can be brought down, right? Like, there's a lot of single target stuff that's been picked on the other side, and they've resisted the urge to try and pick a really resilient carry with like defensive skills or that likes to play split lanes. They're just going to try and out farm on this Luna and basically be too strong to kill with spells like Reaper's Scythe and Rupture. And I guess I admire the ambition of taking that head on.
Yeah, no, it definitely is going to be an interesting one to watch, but I am right. I'm curious to see exactly how this one is going to go. It's certainly going to be eyes on the off lanes, though, right? This is not going to be much of a position one focus game, which is very weird to say for the current meta of Dota, but Andros, such a talented position 4 player. We saw that consistently throughout the entire last season. And then obviously Balance, the position 3 player on the side of No Tinker. Absolutely an extremely talented player in their own right. So going to be just, again, all eyes on these off lanes. Who exactly is going to come out on top is going to be probably very indicative of how these games are going to go.
Well, I mean, it's always interesting how you can see the differences in how teams draft and play when they do have like a bit of a difference in maybe which players they're leaning on. You know, you have a player like Andros on your team, you maybe want to draft a hero, you know, in the 4 position and a hero in the 3 position to allow him to play a more active and roaming role so that he has more freedom to impact the game early. And that's certainly what they've got set up here, right? Like this Necrophos hero, he needs maybe a little bit more time in the lane, but once he has maybe 3 levels, will be able to depart and potentially roam around. And I don't think that really Upper on the IO is going to be contributing in that same way, right? You can't really match a clockwork or, you know, rotation for rotation. Even if you see him departing the lane to go and do no good, you sort of have to just call out the missing and hope that your mid gets back in time. And that's a potential window to be exploited when So Ramen Noodles is already struggling a little bit in the mid lane against Reem Nizzle. I mean, it is Void Spirit. You're often trading hit points for last hits, but Kunkka does not let up on the harass with those Tidebringers.
Yeah, no, that was definitely just Reem playing the mid lane level 1 a lot better, using that Tidebringer where obviously Void Spirit is going to have a little bit of a hard time contesting the shove that level 1 Tidebringer has, but Reem was really able to get the better pull, and then from there was able to get that level 2 first, and then using the level 2 level up advantage, just ran on top of Sir Ramen Noodles with those auto attacks, used the extra level, the extra stats that gives you to just win that trade really massively. But again, Psycho going quite aggressive here onto the opposing position 4.
Yeah, like I mean, Balance. Asian Turtle Frenzy took the level 1 Scatter Blast, right? Which is a powerful spell in its own right, but it doesn't quite have...
Is he dead?
I mean, turning around to try and fight back may have been the wrong idea for this... Yeah, for this Snapfire. I think the balance was fine regardless there, but there's no way to get your support out, no points in press the attack just yet, and so Asian Turtle Frenzy kind of offers himself up in sacrifice for his core, and I'm sure it maybe saves Balance a few hit points here, but now look, they're not going to let him just farm this way freely on the tower. That's the biggest level 1 overwhelming odds I have ever seen! He dies! Oh my god!
That was such a sick TP snipe coming in from Asian Turtle Frenzy.
He had to get a bit of help there. That was an unnecessary die. I like the idea of pressuring the Legion Commander, but it is a Legion Commander, right? Like... You remember what the spell does?
That was so sick by the Snapfire. Quite literally teleports behind you, nothing personal, kid.
Holds up a gun, like, it is meme-worthy in terms of a kill, but it's a huge impact, right? You mentioned that you'd be focusing on these off lanes, and that's just the kind of start a player like Balance wants, right? Like, yeah, okay, your support came back to the lane, you got to share the XP, but it is a big chunk of extra XP, right? Jumping up to level 4 on this LC, getting closer to the 6, of course, holding a couple of skill points even for now, still not 100% what to commit to, and looks like, okay, we're going to go for an Orb of Corrosion, maybe looking to play the lane a little bit longer and sit on top of this Bloodseeker, which I don't mind, right? Because if you try and depart the lane too quickly, you might just find the Bloodseeker showing up to wherever you make a fight happen, and he has a lot more to say in the early game engagements than a lot of 1 positions do. So maybe you're kind of doing God's work anyway, just by continuing to sit on Hugh as long as both of you want a lane and advancing your own farm so that you can keep up with something like the Reem Nizzle Conquer when it does come time for bigger engagements.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not, obviously, he's overtaken Reem on the Conquer, but Balance was the highest CS in the game around the 3 to 4 minute mark there.
Pretty impressive.
Position 3 Legion Commander, who obviously doesn't have, Hugh has to watch out though, is literally just going to get chased down by auto attacks. Might get Psycho as well. pops the press. No, just going to back off there. But yeah, went for the early Soul Ring here and is really just, I guess, you know, pressing the attack with, you could say, pun intended, with all of the overwhelming odds that he is just kind of throwing out there, as well as, you know, the press for the sustain. It's definitely just, I don't know, balanced. Such an incredible position 3 player. It's really amazing where, you know, normally position 3 is a role where you are just kind of trying to deny the position 1 as much as you can. But for the most part, it's not a very, you know, well-farmed role for a reason. You know, it is called the position 3 role for a purpose. You're meant to get less income than your position 1 and position 2. But, you know, so early in the game, just having such a dominant start in terms of your economy. Certainly, it must just be because you are just playing the lane better than the opposing position 1 and 5, and you're able to just pick up more CS than, you know, other position 3 players maybe particularly would in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could say something if you're looking at the grand sweep of Dota history. There's certainly, this is a relatively generous patch for offlaners, I would think, because of the changes to the positioning of the tower, right? Like, that is traditionally what makes the lane hard in part, but it's also a matter of the matchups, right? Like, we know how powerful a laning hero Snapfire is, very often a part of kill lanes with other heroes like Mars or Tidehunter, right? And Legion Commander maybe doesn't have the same reputation as those heroes because you don't have as much power to really burst a hero down, right? But it is a different kind of oppression that you can put on, and now we see Legion and Bloodseeker just going blow for blow here in the lane, right? But even then, right, you sort of think, okay, I'm Bloodseeker, I'm getting whittled down by this constant harassment. You've gone for the overwhelming odds build and a Soul Ring. I can't let myself get low again and get bursted. I better trade, but you still can't really trade in to press the attack and moment of courage without having Rupture, and now that's going to lead to a kill on your 5 position because he was just too low hit points to come over. The duel!
Oh, but in comes Reem, hits the boat, onto both, picks up the double kill, X marks the spot, he might even grab 3. Oh no, so Ramen Noodles with an excellent dodge there is going to get himself out to safety, but my goodness, that was absolutely incredibly played.
Yeah, and this is the real danger of the Conqueror in terms of the Void Spirit, right? I thought this draft was doing a good job of enabling Void Spirit, and I do more often than not see this Void Spirit mid as a hero that does need a bit of enabling. You really want your team to be able to offer you kills to start snowballing you out of the mid lane, because often the hero just doesn't quite have enough punch to finish off a kill by itself, even rotating out of the mid lane as it is now. But when you have a hero like Conqueror, right, can rotate at the same timing, he's way too tanky to personally kill, he has great counter initiation abilities with his, you know, long range CC, big AoEs, and of course you have the, you know, the extra effect of the Ghost Ship buff that can negate the burst damage of Void Spirit, and the X that can negate his mobility. You saw how much trouble Ramen Noodles got in there just because he was trying to finish the kill off and accidentally got caught in the boat stun. Definitely not enough to save his team or secure the kill, so that might just happen every time he tries to make a play on Void Spirit, and if you're going to just try and out-farm this Conqueror, I don't think that's, you know, realistically possible. So you're already being put in a dynamic for your mid lane, which isn't what you want.
Yeah, one thing I did just notice as well is it looks like Andros is actually piloting the position 3 role in this game, which obviously we saw him on the position 4 last season, but perhaps, you know, they wanted their, I think their highest MMR player on the team to maybe be on a core role to be able to have potentially a little bit more impact over the games than previous season.
So.
But yeah, no, I think that is him on Necrophos position 3 in this lane. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see if we are going to see Andros kind of role swapping in this current season compared to last. But meanwhile, on the bot side, looks like both teams have decided to swap to a tri-lane. And they're going quite aggressive.
Looks like presumably there's a bit of aggression from the UofAndros off lane here that's being responded to try and protect the tier 1 tower of the Luna, right? Because you see Loved is getting in trouble in terms of available space and farm and hit points and needs some help. As Rim Nizzle comes down, they're committing to this objective, and at that point it's just too much to defend. Gonna get hit with the Ice Path, and yeah, that is surely gonna be a kill going over to Psycho, and now at least it's just the IO. Honestly, it was a pretty clean retreat, right? They definitely felt the presence of the Conqueror, even if they didn't have a ward there.
Getting dueled up in the top side. He is not going to die, but he may still get killed.
Bottom tower has fallen.
Yeah, interesting solo attempt from Balance. Maybe just was hoping for some more level 1 moment procs.
Yeah,
or
probably.
to force something like that.
You got 0,
Doesn't
I think.
quite have the range for odds. Yeah, bit unlucky there then. But even so, I don't mind it, right? Like, even if you had no chance of fully getting that kill yourself, you're trying to force rotations. You're trying to get something done because you know that you were left alone with this Bloodseeker, like, on purpose, right? They're trying in part to take that tower to give some space to Hugh and not let you run up multiple duels on their one position. So now that bottom tower is going down, you've only got so much time there alone. You may as well try and make use of it. You may as well punish this hero that you're stronger than. And if you're Balanced, I'm sure that he's torn right now between, I have to farm my Blink Dagger to make sure I can continue to evolve into the role I need to be in the game. But also when the rest of the team isn't doing as well as you want to try and eke out a bigger impact from your hero in your position.
Yeah, it must kind of suck to be Hugh in this game, because you know, like, okay, you're Bloodseeker, right? Like, your hero in this game is kind of picked for the purpose of, you're going to hit level 6, you're going to get your Rupture, and then when you get your Rupture, you're going to be really strong, you're going to run around the map, you're going to try and get kills, you're going to get ganked, because Luna just outscales you. Like, it will get to the point where Luna is just more farmed than you are, and you just can't play the game. And so being so behind so early where you can't, like, have that moment where you are just, like, stronger than the Luna and you can run around is definitely going to be scary.
It really is, like, as you keep saying, a patch where one position heroes are like the heart of many compositions. It really does seem like a hero that's been picked up for its utility more than anything. And maybe just the ability to hang in there in the role, right, with the extra healing from the Thirst. Maybe think that lane would have been even worse for a different carry hero. But yeah, I think if you're Hugh, your job in this game is to just Rupture Void Spirit or Rupture Luna and, like, make it hard for them to carry in fights. It's a huge engagement at bottom, and they do get loved. Yeah, not all the healing in the world can save that carry anymore, but will they get Andros in return? It's a valuable kill if they can.
I don't think they will. No, I think Andros is going to get out with his life. Meanwhile, the turnaround. X marks the spot into Torrent, is connected onto Appa, but they're turning it around onto Incognizzle. He has to watch out. The minus armor is there. The duel to lock him up, and that is going to be
Ramen Noodles is around.
Second duel victory of the game, going over to Balance.
And they even kill Andros in the end, or they kill the Necrophos. He just kind of hangs around in the teamfight too long, and I believe just kind of caught a stray Resonant Pulse. Brutal.
That was absolutely disgusting what happened to that poor soul. I don't know. He got X marks the spot into ship, into Reaper Scythe. Just can't play. Just absolutely deleted with no chance of coming back.
But then, like, that fight on gold, XP, even I'd say in terms of ultimately who got the kills on who, even with the carry going down, right? And this Luna is definitely more emphasized in the draft than the Bloodseeker is for the other side. But that kind of reveals the strengths and weaknesses of going for so many single target abilities, right? They deleted that Luna, but then you lost several cores. And, you don't really want to help Ramen Noodles anymore because now he's going to go and try and do this. They're setting up on Hugh, and that's the enemy one position, and that's a much cleaner kill.
Yeah, Hugh just kind of
big wombo combo of their own.
Dying there, I suppose, and only...
He got 4-man ganked.
Yeah, and just getting ganked.
Oh, Upper returns, they figured out where the IO came from for that setup. And will be punished for casting Relocate, I guess.
Asian Turtle Frenzy. Gonna rotate into the mid lane here. And is going to get caught by X, and that's probably going to be a dead Snapfire. Oh, never mind. Very excellent cookie. A little bit of a mistiming there on the Torrent is going to let get out to safety.
We're seeing some clutch escapes from Kunkers. I don't know if everyone was drilling this, like, knowing what Rimnizzle has been picking lately. They're like, all right, we really got to practice. Everyone, use your Dissimulate, use your cookie, make sure you know the timings to get out of this spell. But yeah, they're doing a great job, and while that gank wasn't happening in the mid lane, Love farmed a whole stacked triangle. So this Luna is really accelerating on farm, and I'm not going to say that there is anyone in a clear lead so far. Certainly the gold reflects that, but it's nice to see teams bend and not break, right? They lost a couple of early out of towers. Rimnizzle is a holy terror on the map, and they're still making sure that they can find, the stuff that they need the most for the heroes who need it.
Yeah, really, they are just kind of rotating around, grabbing objectives. We see Reem, farming the jungle with these Tiebringers, flash farming the waves. And at the moment, despite a very strong start, it does seem like the Radiant are struggling a little bit, and they really are kind of hinged on their position 3 at the moment. But, we did say this, kind God, it feels more. I feel like I'm just gonna call them Giga Adelaide by accident a million times, but you know, it does feel like this dire side lineup specifically. Reem does have to watch out. The duel is available. It is gonna get connected. The IO is there. Will they have the damage to finish him off in time? Unleashing Fish coming in from the side with the hook shot, forcing Asian Total Frenzy off, and it looks like they're just gonna trade ultimates, or are they? Rupture dropped onto Sir Ramen Noodles. He's going forward though onto Reem, looking to land the kill. Massive ability by Balance, melting down all three. The Reaper Scythe is there though, coming in from Andros to kill Sir Ramen Noodles. And at the moment, it's looking like a 3-for-1 though, still in the side of Radiant's favor. And they are looking for more Balance, popping the Cookie under tower. He's going to get a 4th kill. It's actually going to go over to Love. The Eclipse is going to get skilled and used. And they are chasing down Andros Balance with a mega kill streak. This Legion Commander looking unstoppable.
Yeah, we're glad we put some respect on his name before the game, because goddamn he's out of control. Although that was absolutely a team effort, right? Even down to Asian Turtle Frenzy, the way that he entered that fight, right? I was surprised they committed the duel onto this tanky conker, but it was, again, just kind of the knowledge that they would force a bunch of reactions out. The Clockwork hooked in before Turtle Frenzy had actually gone to cast Kisses, or indeed even before Kisses was off cooldown. But it kind of wasted one of their major abilities for controlling that team fight and made sure that they were free to get a much bigger ultimate later on. And God, the commitment of Sir Ramen Noodles to get ruptured and still just go all the way in there, knowing they would set up the biggest overwhelming odds I've ever seen. Like, normally I'm mad at the name of that skill because it's called overwhelming odds, but you use it when you're outnumbered and overwhelmed. But I mean, that cast was sufficiently overwhelming. I forgive the slight misnomer.
Certainly was, but I mean, 7 kills on this Legion Commander right now, looking a little on the unstoppable side, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not normally the Legion Commander who I think, oh, this is going to determine the success or failure of the draft, right? It's nice if your LC3 position pops off, but you're really looking to the Void Spirit, to the Luna. But, I mean, maybe if Balance gets far enough ahead, it can really dictate the game. I remember seeing, you know, not Andros on the LC, but some of the older Andros lineups playing a really similar hard pace around an LC off lane. So, you know, they probably know this pain as well as anyone, and maybe they can do what they have to shut this hero down. But with BKB on the way, your options are being closed off.
Yeah, and this Kunkka obviously is scaling, still the highest net worth in the game, even despite the 7 kills on Legion Commander, even despite the team wipe, and still a slight gold lead on the side of UofAndros here, even though it is only slight, and I'm sure, obviously, looking at the net worth there, a lot of that is quite literally just Reem and Andros. You know, surprisingly, their position 1 is very, very low on the net worth compared to them, but bit of an engage here. Hookshot coming in from Unleashed immediately. The Cogs forcing Luna out onto the back line. Asian Turtle Frenzy going to get X'd into Reaper's side. That is going to be a short kill, but overwhelming odds. It comes through again. Nearly kills Incognizzle. And Balance dueling up Andros. Going to find the kill, and they are just looking for more. Unleashed going to be the next one on their agenda. And Luna looking massive with this IO at the moment. They're going to find themselves another kill. Balance even picking up a triple kill off on the back line there. Killing Hugh nice and easy. Did it a bunch of times in lane, and he's going to do it a bunch of times more. And right now, I gotta say, this Legion Commander looking a little bit unstoppable, and I was just talking about how Reem was still number 1 on the net worth. Not anymore. He has been dethroned.
Yeah, I mean, it feels as though the UofAndros draft is starting to show some cracks here. It seems like the heroes that they drafted are just not doing what they drafted them for. It's very clear when you look at the draft and the itemization of the Necrophos or the Kunkka, like, the intent of these cores is that they're going to be too hard to burst with the lineup that they want. You know, when you decide to go on someone with the Legion, with the Void Spirit, you won't be able to go on these guys. But they died. They vanished so fast from that team fight, and without them, there's nothing to really do. You mentioned that Hugh is really behind, and it's a really difficult spot for the Bloodseeker to be itemization-wise, because, okay, we're going for a BKB now, but you've kind of been forced to go for this farming item Maelstrom first. You're going to be asked to show up to basically every fight. You know, your team didn't pick a Bloodseeker for you to sit in the jungle while your team commits 4 other heroes to a fight, but if you're coming to the fights as a hero that's this squishy with these items, you're going to die. So how do you ever catch back up to where you need to be to really contribute beyond throwing your spells in there? If you're Hugh, I don't see it, especially when, you know, it's not like they can just fall back and give up the map, because you know that their lanes are going to get pushed in immediately by these cores, and then it's going to be Balance and Sir Ramen Noodles on the hunt again.
Yeah, absolutely. But speaking of being on the hunt, hook shot dropped in by Unleashed onto So Ramen Noodles. Rupture is there to guarantee it. And, yeah, it's definitely going to be very killed. And Hugh gets the kill! Huzzah! He's on the board. Let's go.
Kind of decided to give the Bloodseeker the kill there by trying to cast Astral Step while still Ruptured. I mean, that's the point of picking the hero, right? It's very powerful no matter how shut down the Bloodseeker is. If you can land Rupture, you're going to make the Void Spirit's fight unplayable. Obviously, if you've got your team around you, maybe the Void Spirit can stay alive. Certainly going to limit his impact, right? And he's already been forced to make some tough decisions in these fights. But, you know, is that enough when there's two other cores who are doing decently well on this side, especially if they can get... I'm not sure if someone on the team can build a Linken's or if they can just get enough healing on this IO that they can specifically bail the Void Spirit out or let him keep playing his game with Rupture on him. That would be, you know, pretty much the game, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. I am excited to see where things go. But again, you know, this Kunkka, what's he building here? He's going towards a BKB. Looks like he's got the Silver Edge first item, which... I don't imagine what that's for specifically in terms of the
it's just for the on-command crit, right? Like, you want to have the Invis is important for initiating, right? Because his role is to make the other team scared of him. Because, you know, Andros, this Necrophos might be strong, but he can't surprise anyone. You know where he is at any given time. You know what he's doing. Reem Nizzle has had to be the X factor for his team, moving around the map, responding and putting out fires or, you know, pulling enemies off their guard. So I think the Shadow Blade was for that purpose, and the Silver Edge is just because you can get a bigger Tidebringer.
Yeah, I honestly forgot about the guaranteed crit. I'm looking at the break. I'm thinking, who does he want to break against that team?
It's usually for the break, right?
They got some passives, I guess, but I mean, you're right. The guaranteed crit, very good here. Meanwhile, though, Balance coming in, pops the BKB, looking for the duel onto Psycho.
And this is just a route now.
Yeah, he's creating a lot of space for Reem in the backside, and Andros has arrived. Reaper's Scythe is there. They're going to shut down Appa.
They're really going to
Rupture dropped onto Asian Total Frenzy. They're actually managing to turn this one around. Quite impressive.
This might still be a turn with Rupture being used, so Ramen Noodles will be hungry to take a fight, but Luna's forced out.
Yeah, they were actually able to get out of that one without suffering any more losses, but still very impressive that they managed to make that one a 2-for-2. Gold advantage swing still in the favor of No Tinker, but it is very close, a matter of less than 20 gold.
I think that's a perennial problem with Snapfire, right? I'm not going to necessarily put the blame on Asian Turtle Friends if you're getting caught out there, but the hero is just not very fast moving. You can buy Blink, or, you know, we're going for a 4-stuff now, but it tends not to be a hero that itemizes always for those items. And because you're trying to maintain, like, one of two very distinct distances to either use, you know, Q and W or use your ultimate, sometimes you get caught in the wrong spacing, or especially when the fight's moving around as much as it did there, and that means that it just kind of stops them from taking what would otherwise be a nice fight. Now they're going to set up on the LC and finally bring him down. Balance wants to kill over, just mass ganked, and again the Void Spirit has to step away from a fight with full resources. It's going to be frustrating for Ramen Noodles.
Yeah, pretty free kill there. They just pick up the LC, split pushing in a place that maybe she shouldn't have been split pushing, and they're just going to find that nice little kill. 17 kills to 13, but they still find themselves at a 2k gold lead, and, you know, you look at, obviously, the last hits on the board, and that is just because, you know, Andros and Reem doing a really, really good job of staying very high up there, and I would imagine that is a large reason why they are doing so well in the net worth department. But nevertheless, smoke is popped here by No Tinker. They're not going to, you know, take this lying down. These last couple of teamfight defeats that they may have found, and Unleashed Fish might get caught out here by the Void Spirit. Well-placed Cogs may get him out to safety, and he actually is! The Ice Path, it's there! He goes into the Roshan pit. He's actually going to walk out alive. That is outstanding.
That's pretty impressive, honestly. Like, I was surprised at the ability to survive there. I thought, well, at least they're going to get one pick-off, which has been... They've been really struggling to find these pick-offs because, as you said, they've been such a good job done by Reem Nizzle on the Conquer and Andros on the Necrophos of pushing in all the lanes all the time. And the Sport's been getting good deep wards up on the Dire as well. It's kind of blunted the influence that, you know, this IO LC Void Spirit combo could potentially have had. But, yeah, even when they catch a hero on their side of the map, they can't get the job done. So that's pretty worrying. And Unleashy Fish on that clockwork now, safe to continue towards a Spirit Vessel. It's going to be quite potent in terms of bringing down these targets. But mostly what I'm worried about is the Necrophos. It's really starting to become a threat in terms of damage. We even saw how fast it melted the IO last fight. But with the Death Seeker ability off the Shard, and now Kaya and Sange, like, you can start to really reliably bring a hero down at the start of the fight with Reaper's Scythe, basically without much help.
Yeah, no, definitely a very, very strong hero once he gets those items going and online. And again, nearly has the Yules as well for that added little bit of self-peel. And it's going to make, obviously, Legion's life an absolute hell. You know, if he duels anybody that is not Andros, whoever he duels is just getting Yulesed immediately, and that is just not fun if you're balanced. But speaking of duels, BKB duel popped here onto Psycho in the river, and the reinforcements are there to secure the kill. He's not going to get away this time. They are going to find themselves a kill, but Unleash trying to turn things around, gets the cogs. Reaper's Scythe is there, and Appa getting sent way back to the fountain for a full 43 seconds. X marks the spot. They actually find love. The BKB comes through too late. Oh, no follow-up, but that was definitely an absolutely amazing X coming through from Reem, and they force out the BKB from it, which is going to give them a lot of pressure at the moment in this 4v4.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, when you're playing against Conqueror, it's one of those heroes, kind of like Invoker, there's a couple of them, I guess, where you just kind of consign your BKB charges to the scrap heap. You can't worry about burning whatever charge it is to just beat an X, because that's mostly what you're going to be BKBing this game, if we're honest. So, better to just not die to it ever than to get concerned over how fast the cooldown goes down, but it is a tax that, a hero like Conqueror imposes on you, because the spell is so long range, and it's such a powerful initiation when you've got the team behind you like this. So, again, we're seeing, I said kind of this is the style that they would probably play on the side of Notinka, right? Like, the later picks made me think that maybe they'd try and take a more aggressive stance in the game, but they're being kind of kept off of that with how UofAndros are playing. So instead they're falling back to, well, if we just keep farming this Luna, right? As you said, Luna's probably fit to outcarry this Bloodseeker, even with Conquer and Necro behind it, as long as, both teams are farming all their cores. I mean, it's possible, right? The Reem Nizzle just, I don't know, buys a Divine and destroys the Luna or something. But in theory, Luna's the hardest carry in this game. But she is being marked for death here.
Yeah, there should be... no, they're actually not going to get the kill just yet. And in comes the position 3 with the duel. And that is going to be Unleashed getting sent packing. Meanwhile, though, Hugh is actually going to find himself, I think, perhaps the first solo kill of the game. I could be wrong on that fact, but is going to find Asian Turtle Frenzy sleeping, trying to join the fight, and is going to pop the Rupture and finish him off. And that is going to be a nice little 1-for-1 across the board. But, you can say slight advantage going over the way of, you look at the gold difference there. That is going to go to the side of Notinka in terms of gold difference. And, of course, they get the dual victory out of it as well. So that is something to think about.
It's not that, I'm not saying it's because they haven't been dewarding, because they have, but that is the second time that Dire Obs, which is, about to be killed now. Oh, actually, sorry, it's the Dire dewarding, but yeah, that Dire Obs and that high ground has killed just the Snapfire twice already.
So Ramen Noodles has to watch out. He's going to get Reaper's Scythe, and there it is. He's going to get absolutely deleted by Andros. Duel is popped, though, in the cogs. The healing coming through from Appa, keeping balance alive in a 1v4 situation, but not for long. They finally have the damage to bring him down, and the X as well from Reem to try and finish Appa off. Amazing Yules coming through from Andros to try and stop the IO from retreating there, and Hugh popping this move speed to melt down Asian Turtle Frenzy for the second fight in a row.
I mean, was that Reaper's Oath combo? That wasn't even with the Bloodseeker buff, right? Like, that's not even the scary Necro combo. And it's still just fully deleted a core. So that's what I'm concerned. Like, I feel as though Notinka haven't made that many big mistakes this game, but just the constant map pressure and, outscaling, out-farming in terms of sheer gold, at least, from the Conqueror and the Necro has just made it really hard for them. And you can see they're gradually slipping behind. And as a result, they've gone from being able to take their own, make their own plays on the map to kind of just playing defensively together. And now they're becoming, they're starting to feel like prey. They're just kind of fleeing and getting bursted and picked off one by one.
Yeah, absolutely is a treat to watch. I'm just going to be excited to see how these next couple of fights turn out, because it seems like Andros and Reem have just become a little bit too much to deal with. And balance as an individual position 3 is not enough to carry these fights. They are going in though.
Damage.
BKB and BKB. Mortimer's Kisses is there, laying fire across the battlefield. They've got balance in a CC chain, but he's staying alive just barely. Press the attack coming through to heal him up. Appa gonna get melted down by the Macro Pyre in the back line. They do find themselves balanced, but Incognizzle is quite low, and so Ramen Noodles is there. Is he gonna be able to finish off the kill? The boat's coming through. Reem's still alive, and he's got reinforcements on the way. So Ramen Noodles finally gonna finish him off. All three are low. Oh, but just barely. He's going to miss out on all of them as he is taken down. An Asian Turtle Frenzy. Looks like Andros quite literally playing with his food as the Reaper Scythe comes through. The tips are there just to rub salt in the wound, and that is going to be UofAndros coming up huge in another team fight. 13k gold lead.
That was definitely. I guess the scythe does give you charges, but part of me is like, that's a scythe for psychological damage now, because the whole reason we saw that fight break out, that they decided to go for a duel on the Kunkka. Well, I'm sure they didn't anticipate the super fast BKB reaction, but it was still a case of like, we better go now while there's no scythe, because they're realizing how much of a problem that is. And they still couldn't win the team fight, and the scythe gets thrown out on the back end. But I mean, it doesn't even feel like that long ago that I said, wow, these tanky cores just aren't tanky enough for the side of UofAndros. Well, the tables have completely turned now, right? We saw the single target damage from the Legion Commander and the additional combo of the Snapfire Kisses and the Void Spirit all fail to bring down any meaningful target, although
they are turning this around. The dual victory is there. Asian Turtle Frenzy, we're able to take down Hugh. The Macropire is dropped to try and get Unleashed Fish an escape. Andros in the middle of things, though. The Heartstop Aura doing its thing. Unleashed Fish going to find the kill onto Balance. Buyback used by the Legion Commander, and the TPs are coming through to try and get things going once again. Blink forward. He's looking for Andros. Psycho in the backline. Oh, wonderful blind taunt is going to connect. They're going to find Psycho. Andros now finding himself in a 1v4 situation. Is he going to be able to get out of this one alive? In comes Incognizzle to turn things around. Double kill immediately with the Tidebreaker crit. What a turnaround. Triple kill for Reemnizzle. Balance X marked, and that is going to be an ultra kill coming through for the Kunkka, and that is going to be an absolute stomp of a turnaround coming through from UofAndros.
I really wasn't sure that as good a player and as far ahead as Reem is on this Kunkka, I wasn't sure that him showing up to the fight that late was going to really turn things around that decisively. But oh my god, I mean, every Kunkka spammer on Earth just like smiled. They don't know why. All the hair stood up in their arms. Just like the ideal Tidebringer cleave. Insta-give the supports. Blew up the Void Spirit. Like, just turns the fight on one swing. And that's what just being a full item and a half ahead will do for you, I guess. And, yeah, the concept, you can just kind of out-economy people out of the game. They knew that these heroes had very powerful combos and a very powerful timing. And even though I feel like, Love just played a really tight game, this Luna is just not at a spot where you can contend with these heroes, where you can even stand in front of them for very long.
Absolutely, we see Psycho. He's purchased an Ethereal Blade. Gonna be doing a lot of magic damage, I would imagine, with that one. But no, it is a good item. I mean, obviously, you just E-Blade the Legion Commander. Legion Commander can't auto-attack people in duel.
You can E-Blade her target, right? Because the problem with the Yule Scepter Interrupt that they had previously is that basically at the same time we saw Legion buy a BKB. And you can't use your teammate unless you buy the super expensive Wind Waker. But you can E-Blade your teammate, whether or not the Legion is BKB.
That damage, Appa!
And yeah, Appa just... I mean, anyone just gets deleted, right? That's the insane part of this combo. With the Paladin Sword as well. Oh, that's so gross. The amplified lifesteal and spell lifesteal and regen on top of the permanent regen stacks. 51 permanent HP regen multiplied by the Paladin Sword. Filter that effective HP through a Hood and a Shiva's Guard. No wonder they can't kill this Necrophos.
Yeah, they've also, interestingly, purchased the Necrophos Shard, which is basically E-Blade. So they have two now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just been used to, like, set up the kill from the side the whole time still, but I didn't really comprehend or remember at the time that you can target your allies with that. So yeah, they have another save on top of everything else, and honestly, as good as balance is on the Legion, with how strong Necro is in the meta right now, that might honestly be a big reason to not go with the hero, because Necro's already pretty good against Legion. When you can give other people Ghost, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it definitely is, but is this... Hang on. Did I just see what I thought I saw? It was!
Yeah,
that's a rapier being built on Kunkka.
And why shouldn't he?
Why shouldn't he? After all, why shouldn't I?
Exactly, and before Luna steals it and wins the game. We'll see. I'm not seriously sure that that's going to happen. I have a feeling that we're more likely to see another multiple heroes die in one Tidebringer incident, and we are a sudden and violent punishment for this overconfidence. But you buy into some amount of danger when you buy a rapier.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing about Kunkka though, right? He's very hard to poke out at this stage in the game when he has those BOTs, when he has the TP scrolls available. You know, you can just X yourself, TP back to Fountain, and then come back, and you've got, you know, your items, you've got your full health and mana. Just very, very oppressive in terms of having to deal with it.
Oh, they're dueling,
the duel! He's going forward! They might find Reem here. He's dropping very low. In comes Sir Ramen Noodles. The damage is there, but an excellent Ice Path into Macropire is going to save his cause. Reaper's Scythe is there. They find balance. The buybacks are used from Sir Ramen Noodles and Appa, but it's a 2v4 at the moment. And it looks like Hugh is actually going to come up huge with a triple kill here, finally. Might even find himself an ultra kill. No, not quite. Incognizzle going to grab the mega kill streak. But, you know, Hugh showing up at the end there, showing that, you know, it wasn't completely dead weight the whole game. Putting in work.
If I was you, I would claim credit for like 80% of all the kills that happened because they were benefiting from my Blood Rage buff. But,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, suffice to say, many hands were being, you know, were being laid on deck by UofAndros in that win. That in the end looked very decisive, right? They kind of cruised after a few mid-game hiccups, and even that nice little turnaround on the base steps from Notinga. They put up a fight, but yeah, in the end, UofAndros looking mighty strong, as you'd expect from last season's finalists.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're gonna have to see whether or not you said Notinga can come back in game 2, or whether or not UofAndros are gonna be absolutely cleaning house with this one in a nice 2-0, showing that, you know, they were grand finalists last season for a reason. And that's a bit of a rhyme. Do you like that one? But we're gonna throw it over to a quick 5-minute break, and we will catch you as we hop into the next game. And welcome back, folks, to Game 2 of this Best of 2 series between UofAndros and USYD No Tinker. I'm your caster, Kadius, joined here on the casting desk by the Wandering Bard, and we are going to be looking at whether or not USYD No Tinker are able to take back a cheeky Game 2. They have side swapped, deciding to take the Dire side here, and we'll have to see how it goes. But, Bard, what are your thoughts heading into the second match?
I think what we saw was a refreshingly close match, right? Like, the nature of the Uni League is that you see some stomps in this league from time to time. You see teams really able to completely outplay their opponents, or sometimes win more just on kind of individual player skill or mechanics, you know, just completely outfarm, win all 3 lanes, whatever you like. That wasn't that, right? Like, that game was a lot closer. There was a lot of back and forth between the teams, and yet it did seem like UofAndros just felt completely assured in their ability to outscale and the timings that they're drafted around to just break their opponents, and that proved correct, right? Like, if I'm USYD No Tinker, I'm a little worried after that game 1 because I got at least some of what I was wanting out of my draft, and even then, when it came down to it, they didn't really pose much of a speed bump.
Absolutely, but the Invoker that was first phase banned out in Game 1, first phase picked here by USYD No Tinker in Game 2, so they might have a bit of an Invoker spammer that they've been trying to avoid thus far. I do actually think Sir Ramen Noodles piloted the Invoker quite well in one of the games that they played
I do recall that,
against UOW, so maybe UofAndros a little bit scared of this No Tinker Sir Ramen Noodles Invoker, and we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. But either way, the IO actually getting taken away here instead, so they opted like, you know what? We'll take a little bit of stock out of the mid lane, and instead we'll make it so, you know, we don't have to deal with the IO in the second game as much.
Yeah, Upper certainly seems very practiced on that IO, right? Like, they paid that hero a lot of attention to shut it down in the draft and in the game. And even then, there were a couple of fights where he was able to just completely elude them and keep heroes up. Certainly a lot of the fights that No Tinker won were off the back of, you know, the IO buffing and making a target really hard to kill. So whether or not they're going to go back for the same draft, I think Andros just recognized that hero was putting too many restrictions on how they played, too much of a threat, and they've decided to instead let through that Invoker, which, you know, it's good to see No Tinker pick that up at least, sort of go, yeah, you should be afraid of this Invoker. Ramen Noodles is going to show you why, but going to have their work cut out for them again. 2 very aggressively slanted picks to start the draft from UofAndros.
Yeah, so these could obviously be going in a few places. You can either have the Weaver Undying just like as a lane, 4 Weaver Undying 3, or, you know, these are, you know, your 4 and 5, and you go the Undying 5 and don't play it as a core. Or, you know, the Weaver is a position 1, and the Undying is, you know, position 3, position 4, position 5, wherever. So, very, very flexible early draft here, but USYD No Tinker, finally, someone picks up the DP. I have been so confused as to how this hero has been getting through so consistently, but finally, we have a DP first phase. It makes sense. It just makes sense. Love to see it. It's good in this comp as well. Obviously, the silence going to be absolutely amazing against Weaver, stopping Shikuchi from, you know, getting her out of jail for free. So I'm excited.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. It's a pretty good hero against Undying. Well, actually, no. It's a good hero against Undying in the lane, right, in theory, because if Undying wants to get aggressive, you know, if you've got a support DP, which is often where it ends up, you can discourage that kind of melee aggression. But Weaver has a pretty good game against Death Prophet, right, in terms of being able to maneuver around in the lane. And then in the team fights, like, both of these heroes kind of match up pretty well against what Death Prophet likes to do, which is extend the fight, but extend the fight while keeping herself alive, right? Undying and Weaver with the low cooldown, low risk damage that the hero puts out, and Undying with the Tombstone and the Decays, the way those add up over fights are both very good, and specifically, they can both significantly amplify the damage against Death Prophet, and I think all of Death Prophet's kind of high win rate counter picks are heroes with abilities like the Swarm or a Flesh Golem or a... So I'd have to be a little bit worried. Obviously, if it's your support, you're not as concerned about getting counterpicked. But the fact that UofAndros already had those heroes, it does slightly disincentivize what's otherwise a really hot pick this patch.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how they decide to do it. But USYD No Tinker banning out a lot of prominent position 2s at the moment. You know, Medusa... Position 2, Position 1 sort of hero, also very strong at the moment, and of course the Templar Assassin, one of the best 2s of the patch, maybe even the best 2 of the patch. So yeah, definitely no surprises seeing those get taken out there. I mean, if you are playing the Invoker, trying to play Invoker into TA is not a ton of fun. They also get rid of the Tide. which is interesting because I know Tide was a pick that they did like on balance in one of the games against UOW, but UofAndros opting for the Sand King here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of the same. You ban out a Tide Hunter for the same reasons the other team would pick a Sand King. It kind of just feels like what they needed. You've got Undying and Weaver who love to fight, but they aren't very good at forcing fights to happen. Just an overall lack of CC, obviously. So Sand King gives you that initiation, a reliable stun. You know, Tide Hunter would have been as good as well. Obviously, a great laning combo with the Weaver if you're not going to use the Undying. In that sense, I'm starting to get a vibe that these might be their 2 supports, or maybe it's a 1 Weaver and a 4 Undying. But having Sand King there is certainly a huge asset to any team on this patch. It lets you pressure the safe lane, even if it is a Death Prophet 5. And we've seen in Balance's own hands how far the Sand King can, run away with the game if allowed. So I'm sure that if it is Andros on the position 3 again, it'll be just as capable.
Yeah, the Disruptor getting locked in here though, which again, very good against Weaver. Maybe one of the worst matchups in the game for Weaver, actually. One of the biggest Weaver hard counter picks that there is. So obviously just a good pick in general.
It's a little bit lackluster against Weaver in the laning phase, just because Disruptor can only ever put out so much damage at a time, right? Like, Q's a good damaging spell, but he doesn't really have anything after that, and Weaver is so good at controlling when and how much you fight in the laning phase, especially if it's like just the 2 supports kind of scrapping outside the lane. But that's not obviously like a big factor in the picking, and in addition to shutting down the Weaver, it's also very good against Sand King. It gives you a nice way to punish people for stacking up on a Death Prophet, and here's another hero that alongside the Death Prophet is going to help hold down the front lines and give Invoker and Disruptor a way to, kind of sight in their spells. It's Dragon Knight.
Yeah, so this is a really good pick because they don't really have anything on their comp that can kill Dragon Knight very easily. And Weaver hates Dragon Knight. Dragon Tail sucks to get clicked on by as Weaver. And then not only that, but obviously the damage over time from the Dragon form persists even if you Sakuchi away. The amount of times I've been playing Weaver and I've been hit by Dragon Knight and I've Sakuchi'd away on like low health and then just died to Dragon Breath anyway from the damage over time. So it sucks to play into that, but I would imagine Dragon Knight being locked in here as the position 1. I would imagine based on their comp.
It's hard to say. It could be the pos 3.
Could be.
Like both Weaver and Undying are pretty good at harassing down targets in the offlane, so maybe you want this like really resilient offlaner who's not going to be bullied by them. Chaos Knight is a really dangerous pick though. Like, yeah, that's a really hard hero to root out of the lane no matter what you put against it in the offlane. That is, I am going to assume, the carry of UofAndros, and it gives them like potentially a very aggressive early timing, right? Like, you want to fight when Undying spells are strong, when Sand King spells are strong. Like, obviously Sand King can go deep in the game, but there's a point in the game where Epicenter is just overwhelming along with the range of Burrow Strike, and that's when Chaos Knight is also very, very powerful. So I do think that No Tinker, they're going to maybe lack damage again, a bit like they did in game 1, because there is some pretty tough cookies on the side of UofAndros, whereas their own tanky targets don't have the kind of disengage support. They won't be able to peel as well for them, and I'm worried that the damage amp and persistent damage over time, reducing max HP, decreasing armor that UofAndros has, means that even Dragon Knight and Death Prophet are going to be killable.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Chaos Knight as well is the Phantasms do deal with Exorcism pretty well. If Exorcism gets popped, some of them are just going to be hitting Phantasms, which means the Chaos Knight is going to have a lot more durability in these fights. So it also
has overwhelming single target burst as well to kill the Death Prophet.
Yeah, no, 100%. And also, Dragon Knight doesn't exactly have the best time at dealing with illusion heroes in general. You can only, stun one person.
When he's leveled up, he's a decent pick against the CK Swarm, I think. Especially if this is one position DK, you're definitely going to try and rely on getting to that blue, if not black dragon, right? And you get the splashing Skadi style debuff and damage from that hero. It can be pretty impressive. But yeah, certainly that's not normally a consideration at the phase of the game where CK wants to, if possible, end things. So I do see, a definite hole in the USYD lineup here.
I think if DK does get late enough, that he is actually a very good answer to not just Chaos Knight, but pretty much the whole comp that we have presented here. They don't have an amazing way of bursting through him, and obviously Chaos Knight, very physical damage reliant, very crit damage reliant. Dragon Knight having a ton of armor is very annoying for Chaos Knight to deal with, but the thing that I do want to note is that that's only if Dragon Knight goes late. You look at the rest of UofAndros' team comp that they have here, it is just like level 6 early, like fight, and just roll over this team, because dealing with a level 25 Invoker, Death Prophet, Disruptor, Dragon Knight, these are incredible level 25 heroes, like disgusting level 25 heroes. So you don't want to meet them at that point. You just want to go under them, and that's what UofAndros are trying to do with this comp, and I think they'll probably be able to pull it off, because I've seen them play these very early hard aggression comps in the past, and they do make them work, whereas I remember last season there was a few teams that tried to play those like fast team fight early comps.
Yeah.
You know, they'd pick the Tidehunter, they'd walk mid at level 6.
Stole the pick from them.
Ooh, Bloodseeker getting locked in here. I mean, this does make sense. Bloodseeker's probably going to be, I would imagine, either their 1 or their 3, or their 4 even, potentially. But at the same time...
Probably the 1, right?
Probably. But I think even putting it 1 might be a mistake, right? Because like you're banking on that Dragon Knight hitting that late game power spike, and putting less economy on the Dragon Knight here might really hinder you.
Yeah, okay, it is balanced on the D. I was about to say, honestly, I think with the way those 2 heroes are, it's just going to be about what lane matchup you want, right? I don't think that... There are definitely worlds where the Bloodseeker in the off lane is going to get more farm than the Bloodseeker in the safe lane, if going to the safe lane means you're against Sanking Undying. So it will be balanced on the DK, though, against the carry Chaos Knight. So the Bloodseeker last game had a really clear role, right? There were multiple heroes that got destroyed in fights by Rupture. I don't know that there are as... like, Weaver isn't really a priority target, since it is going to be the support Weaver, so it's really going to be about like maybe landing it on Andros here. And we've got the last pick, Visage, which we've already seen absolutely ruin some games here in AEL. It's going to ruin another one here. Great pickup. Maybe it's not going to be the best at destroying the Dragon Knight, but it's going to annihilate Death Prophet. It's going to crush Bloodseeker. Even Invoker, right, has a hard time running away from, contributing to a fight fully while the birds are chasing. So that, I think it looks a lot like game 1 to me, right? Like you as you said, they're kind of leaning on it, getting to a late game with these heroes where all they can really do before that is kind of try and farm and maybe take pickoffs that are presented to them. Whereas Andros have both an earlier timing and a much greater ability to like force kills to happen and fights to happen on their terms. And yeah, when you give that to a really skillful team like this, I don't know how you hope to survive.
Yeah, no, I didn't see the last pick Visage, but I don't know if you've seen Ream's like match history, but it's a lot. It's a lot of Visage and it's a lot of green. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch.
I've certainly seen a lot of Visages winning a lot of games, and I have no doubt that Ream can play the hero. So I was already worried, but yeah, that just cements it. This is definitely. I feel like this is probably everything they wanted from the draft. Maybe they would have taken the Tidehunter if it was available, but I really don't think it makes that much of a difference in a setup like this. I think they've got a tremendous early game timing. They can destroy towers, they can kill heroes, they're probably going to win their lanes, and the only real hope is that someone goes on just like an outplaying spree from the side of No Tinker, or that somehow there's like a key timing that's missed on one of these heroes on the side of UofAndros, and that kind of starts them to falter and gives up a bit more space, because we saw last game, even after an okay start in some 1-team fights, that Luna draft got suffocated pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Well, only time will tell, as they say. But again, this is going to be an interesting game of Dota 2 to watch. I know Chaos Knight and Dragon Knight, bit of a clash of the knights this game, you could say. It's gonna,
Knight's Tale.
This is going to be an interesting one, to say the least. I mean, I personally don't like Dragon Knight, just out of principle. I think the hero is obviously ridiculously easy to pilot. Like, Dragon Knight is one of those heroes where, you get your friend that's never played Dota 2 before, they've never touched the game, they're like, who do I play? You just recommend Dragon Knight to them, because, like, it's super easy. You got a stun, you got a wave clear spell, you got a passive ability that makes you super tanky and hard to kill, and then you have, like, an ult that just, like, turns you into a ranged right-clicker, right? Like, not a hard hero to pilot in the slightest, very safe, and very consistent.
How many players have you seen do quite badly with this hero when you pick it at a competitive level, right? I think the hero is hard to find a place for strategically, and it's hard to know precisely what you should be doing, because it does kind of have this awkward spot where it's kind of strong early just with its ultimate, but it can't really take objectives or fights by itself because it doesn't do enough damage, and it's a pretty good late game hero, but you have to be pretty decisive about farming to get there. Like, it can be awkward, right?
Yeah, definitely. And looks like there's a pause, interestingly.
Yeah, someone maybe having some connection issues. Looks like Bloodseeker's disconnected for the game, so
me 2 seconds.
Hopefully the carry can come back for No Tinker, or their job's going to be even more difficult this game.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, I'm gonna be excited to see how these end up going. It is interesting that we do have, looking at the lanes here, we do have the. Oh no, we do. Okay, I thought the Disruptor was position 4. No, it is the Disruptor Bloodseeker lane. Okay, so this is probably why they picked Bloodseeker, because they already had the Disruptor, and it's just a really good position 1. Obviously, you have the Glimpse, and then you just Rupture before you pop Glimpse. It's a ton of damage, and then they're trapped in the cage, and then they can't run out of Blood Right while they're in the cage. So just a lot of synergy between these two heroes across a few of their spells. So it's going to be really good. It's also a very good lane for killing Weaver, which a lot of people struggle with, and not only that, but Bloodseeker is just a fantastic hero into the Sand King just in general, because he wants to often hide in his Sand Cloud. And you just put Blood Right on top of the Sand Cloud, and he either has to move out of it or take a massive nuke to the face. So I do like the pick, but at the same time I do worry that it is going to be hindering their late game. But at the same time, we did see Balance as the position 3 have more farm than the Luna position 1 for most of the game. So maybe it is going to be more on the side of econ friendly to have your Dragon Knight in position 3. I don't know. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, Loved is back into the game, so we should be unpausing soon.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, I think they've definitely sent Balance the stronger laning support. Okay, Love still has some ping, still trying to fix this. But yeah, the DP is in the off lane, and I don't disagree, right? You're lining up against the Undying and the Chaos Knight here. Pretty good heroes to target with Spirit Siphon. And certainly you can already see, right? They know that their ticket to winning this lane, if they are going to, is to immediately all in this Dragon Knight and really try and bully him, because they can put out a lot of damage and they're not afraid of him, these two strength heroes. Asian Turtle Frenzy coming in and siphoning those heroes up is going to shut off that option pretty quickly. But it does leave this lane top, right? All of the stuff that you mentioned, those synergies between Bloodseeker and Disruptor, required them to be able to get a couple of levels. And just as the Bloodseeker safe lane was bullied in game 1 of this series, I worry it may happen going back the other way in this game. It couldn't, it might not, it could not, but especially if Love tries to come out from this tower, as good as it is at shutting down somewhat Sand King does, it's still a melee hero with pretty low hit points, fighting into Caustic Finale and the potential burst and harass of a Weaver with a Disruptor who really can't do much but kind of nuke in sympathy. So we'll see whether or not they can hold that lane together for those heroes to come online fully.
Yeah, Weaver's a silly hero, man. I play that hero. I know for a fact I don't know how much of it's been patched, because I haven't played the hero in quite a while. But I know Weaver can do some funky stuff. Like if you Shikuchi on top of someone and right click them in the middle of a creep wave, most offlaners and carries would get hard punished by that, because the whole wave would aggro you. You're a fairly squishy range character, and you'd lose that trade hard. But if Weaver oh my goodness, Balance is just dead already. That is the power of Undying.
Lost 12 of his strength, which is a significant chunk of the amount that he has right now. And yeah, DP, actually the Spirit Siphon was not enough.
Has been killed.
Pretty spooky.
They get the courier though, so who really wins?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the courier's worth a lot of gold. I had to think about it for a second, but yeah, no, the Dragon Knight, you really don't want to be dying at level 1, but I mean, maybe you did need to take a bit of Dragon's Blood, I'm not sure. We've gone for the 2 spells here, we're going to try and fight it out, and it's true that you did use basically all the mana on your Chaos Knight to make that kill happen, right? It was multiple rounds of spells, so Psycho coming back in to try and assist now, but yeah, I very much doubt that you're going to be able to kill the UofAndros safe lane. Unfortunately, for UofAndros, their mid lane is not quite so secure. Ramen Noodles, you were right to fear the Invoker.
Yeah, I mean, Reem
kills Reem in the mid.
I was excited to see this Reem visage. And I don't know. I guess it's just not his game. What can I say? But starting up in the middle of the creep wave.
It's not really a laning phase hero, right?
That's true. That is true. Needs to get the level 6. Needs to get the ghoulies online. But Appa trading a little bit. But yeah, no, I don't know. Like Balance, you're right. Maybe grabbing the level 2 point in the Dragon Blood instead may have been better. Because obviously, like Dragon Knight doesn't have the most amazing base stats in the game. Oh, he's probably dead again. No, he does pop the 1.
Yeah, he is. Wow.
No, he's dead. Okay.
I mean, he got killed at level 1, didn't skill the blood, didn't skill it at level 2 either, got killed again. I can understand why you wouldn't take it, but it's unfortunate if the Dragon Knight isn't tanky enough for the lane, that's concerning.
Well, no, but I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, Dragon Knight, because he has Dragon's Blood, his base stats are compensated for it, right? Like, he doesn't have the most insane base armor early game. He doesn't have the most insane HP pool early game. He doesn't have the most insane HP regen early game. Because he gets those things, right? Like, he gets very durable from skilling Dragon's Blood. So if you don't have it, you're actually quite a squishy melee strength hero. And obviously, if you're undying, that's kind of free food for you. So it's no surprise to see him just getting blown up here.
Maybe you take Breathe Fire because, of course, you want to secure the range creep, and it does apply a damage reduction, so maybe you consider that's equivalent. But then, like, to take the stunt level too, I'm not sure what the most valuable point is, like, against these two heroes to trade with them. Like, what are you breaking up with that Dragon Tail? Like, it seems as though they were really going to try and get a kill with it, but they just haven't even come close. And yeah, unfortunately, it also hasn't come close to saving Balance's life. So I'm not sure, like, what the miscalculation was there or what he was planning for the skill build, but they're going to keep trying to force it in this lane. They are wearing down Hugh's hit point pool. Now they draw an initiation onto the DP that might be a better trade if they take the fight like that.
Nice little trading back and forth. Yeah, Spirit Siphon just doing its thing. Asian Total Frenzy just being a position 4.
They're out of charges now, though.
Being annoying.
And just walks up and just Dragon Tails. Okay, just to assert dominance, I guess. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good trade, right? Like, you used less of your mana than
only
Psycho
cost
lost
70
health.
mana, yeah.
So why not?
Yeah, why not? That's true. I guess it's not a question of how good the skill is when you have it. It's just what may you have given up by skilling it when you did. But, you know, we'll have to see. Balance has plenty of time, presumably, hopefully, to work his way into the game here.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, the Sand last hits are going off all right.
Love the Clovis Noobs in CS/net worth game. My brother, you're in the game. You played the game. My brother in Christ, you last hit the creeps. Like, you know how this one goes. Like, what a vanity request. But yes, last hits denied. They're doing well here. Bottom lane trades actually starting to work out now. Maybe it was just a question of getting those couple of levels up, right? Like Turtle Frenzy and Balance. This is what I imagined would happen with the DP lane. It's just like they just needed that level 2 Spirit Siphon online, and now they're even beating through the Tombstone and really kind of forcing a lot of regen out of Hugh and Psycho. At least the CK is still, you know, getting to hit the creeps. They can't fully push him out of the lane, but combined with the solo kill, Ramen Noodles got on. Unleashed. He pops the wand. Is he? You know, he's not even the wand. It's his stick keeping him alive. He pops it again. Oh no, he's gonna die.
I thought he was out.
Appa though has to watch out. Andros looking for blood.
The creep wave got him. Ooh.
Creep diff.
Creeps on the case. Yeah, they'll take that stolen kill, really. The creeps deserve that kill credit. Andros.
Psycho is a psycho. Walking into high ground on this health, and he might get punished for it.
I mean, Undying doesn't really care if he lives or dies, right? He has died many times. He can die one more time.
Total Frenzy actually, like, does the opposite of damage at the moment. Oh, does he? Maybe not. Maybe not.
I mean, it doesn't look like a lot, but he's getting there. It's wearing the Undying down. There he goes.
Oh, the body block! What a Chad! What an actual Chad giving that away.
He's actually just refusing to deal damage to give the kill to his mid laner. Yeah, and like one kill versus another, right? Well, we got one guy stealing kills off of noble creeps and just trying to contribute to their team. Another guy selflessly body blocking so his mid laner can get some earn charges and some kill gold there. So
bit of an awkward spot to pause in. So
a poor time to disconnect potentially.
Do we think Abba and Loved live in this situation?
No, because those are Visage birds. However, Loved has a point to put in Rupture, so maybe they can get a kill back, at least on Unleashy Fish or something. Okay, Incognizzle. He's trying to fully live up to the Incognizzle part of his name. He's just trying to be like, ignore me. I'm invisible here. I already have the shard. I am the scepter. I'm silent as the grave. You're honor bound to not cast spells on me. And in this pause.
Yeah, there's we got a stick on Loved, and we have a fairy fire and a wand on Appa.
I think Appa has to die, right? It's only a level 1 burrow though. They might not be able to catch Loved, depending what these birds do. And if he gets TP help, right? Like, Ramen Noodles has a TP ready. He's full health, almost full mana. Still has a bit of a DD left. Got 2 charges up on the urn. I mean, his spells are cooldown, but maybe he's tempted to rotate up. I don't know. They have some time to think about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Incognizzle. Let's see what he's got going on here. He's going for the drums. Very cool. No boots. Windlace only, no boots. Chad move, really. Who needs boots? Boots are overrated.
I mean, it's almost more effective when your hero doesn't get into range and die, because you might die, right? The birds are going to do all the damage you need.
Do we think Love gets out of this alive? One in the chat. One in the chat if you think Love dies. 2 in the chat if you think he lives. If you played the game, do not type anything. You're banned.
If you played the game, type both answers in quick succession. Be like a lying guard in your favorite proverb, and mislead the travelers along the path. If you're in this game, type in chat only to let us know how long this pause was, so that we can.
yeah. This pause much longer.
If he was disconnected for like 10 minutes, you got to tell us.
Oh no, we're chill. Here we go. All right. Oh no, he's dead. No, he's real dead. Yeah, the epicenter even gets committed by Andros. Appa is actually the one that lives. Wow. All right, that was an unforeseen plot twist. I thought for sure, if anything, it was going to be the Bloodseeker that was on full HP.
They had a lot of time to really think about which kill was more valuable and which one they wanted to commit for. And I mean, honestly, jokes aside, maybe in like a scramble situation where you don't pause there, you take the first kill. Oh, okay. I was gonna say maybe in some situations you commit to that first kill because it's right there, and as a result the Bloodseeker gets out. But when they have time to discuss and coordinate it, no way in hell he lives. So, second game in a row, carry position Bloodseeker is being given a hard time, in what should be a real chance for it to shine. But
ooh, that's a very dead Hugh, it would seem.
Yeah, both one positions being punished for the sins of their teammates here.
Yeah, it looks like I mean that's just kind of one of the golden rules of any MOBA, there's tempo created on one side of the map, you want to create tempo on the other side of the map. If you're playing position 2, and your laner roams top, gets a kill, and, has a tempo swing in that lane, you usually want to run bot, because you know that the enemy, the opposing position 2 can't be there to match it most of the time.
Yeah.
You can get something done.
It's just less risky than, like, trying to go and confront them directly. I mean, we saw a little bit of that kind of shadowing from Reem last game, right? Like, knowing that you could shut down the Void Spirit and being confident that that was the play you wanted to make, or moving together and trying to make things happen. But yeah, mostly you want to be preying on the weaker heroes of the other team instead of risking running into your opposite number who's just as farmed and having him mess you up as well.
Absolutely. We do see Balance as the dragon form for a little while longer. And did go for that Soul Ring first, which is, makes sense. Ooh, but Asian Turtle Frenzy walking right past you with that Invis rune.
Balance is definitely being like a 3-position style Dragon Knight here, though. You can see immediately after Boots just queuing out the Blink Dagger into, of course, the Shard, really powerful farming item of sorts when you have the Soul Ring as well to sustain the Fireball spell. But, you know, putting the Blink Dagger priority so that his team has initiation beyond just, oh, let a Rupture out of nowhere. But Ramen Noodles,
yeah, he does have to watch
gets
out.
He's wanted attention.
Chased down. Look at the micro on Reem's visage. Little gargoyles. My goodness, that was actually impressive.
Yeah, not lacking on micro, unfortunately, a little lacking on damage, right? I guess he just needs a little bit more itemization to bring down Ramen Noodles on the Invoker, and that's a good sign for Ramen, at least. He wants to be able to contribute to these fights, but now the rest of the team show up.
Asian Turtle Frenzy, I mean, showing why, Death Prophet is a tier 1 hero in the current patch. Unleashed Fish going to get melted down by the Cold Snap. In comes Andros, pops the Sandstorm. They are going to find Appa. Loved. Going to be trying to get aggressive onto Reem. Quickly realizes his mistake, though, and is forced away. And now they're going to try and turn things around. The Meatball dropped onto the Visage Gargoyles, but they're just going to drop down and heal right back up. Balance, though, going aggressive onto Reem, undying there with the save, popping the heal. Balance there with the Dragon Form, though, looking to try and melt down Incognizable. He's so tanky. He finally goes down to Sir Ramen Noodles. In comes Andros, though, looking to finish off the Invoker. They do have a sentry. They see him. The stun is there, and they will be able to melt him down. And, oh my goodness, he's going to die. So Ramen Noodles with a double kill. Unstoppable at the moment.
He's going to live. He was so confident he was going to survive that even with the birds like regenerating bullets next to him, he didn't bother earning himself. He just knew. And now the Sunstrike, they're going to finish Psycho as well. This is a huge fight.
He's so
no Tinker.
Unleashed Fish has to watch out. He's going to look for Appa here, but the wand is there. But, Reem might be dead, but his little friendos are not. And they're going to use them to kill Appa. Oh, they're going to get 100 gold. That is the thing about Visage, right? Is if you do feed the birds, you feed like 100 gold to the enemy team. But he's going to immediately resummon them. And they are going to look for Asian Turtle Frenzy. The Spirit Siphon is there to try and keep him topped up for just a little bit while longer, but a great stun is going to connect. And Unleashy Fish.
Definitely worth more than 100 gold.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 224 plus 51 for the assist. And they are going to turn that one around and make up for it. Looking at the fight recap, though, we do see a 1k gold lead in the side of No Tinker overall. Still, despite that fight going in a 1.3k gold swing over to the side of UofAndros.
I think every time you kill a Visage Bear, it should drop a neutral item. We have to punish this criminal behavior of Visage pickers. Although in that fight, I'll be honest, I was going to say I want to see how much damage these birds have done at the end of the fight, because I'm sure it's like a truly insane number. Unfortunately, no one else on UofAndros really did any damage, and it was honestly a pretty impressive job from the side of the Dire to like spread that damage out. Like, okay, was all of it very useful? Did Love really achieve very much by like trying to dive the Visage and just eating all the bird shots? Like, no, but he also didn't dive for it, and they were able to bring down you know, the Visage mid in the end. So that's a dub. If they can replicate that in future fights, I think they'll be well on their way to you know, splitting this series 1-1.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree. I don't know, I'm just impressed by, you know, Reem's micro of these birds here, you know, stacking the stuns really well to, you know, time it so that they're perma-stunned off both birds, and, you know, microing them both to attack move correctly,
actually,
one at a time, individually.
Like a bottom lane, maybe.
Definitely some pretty impressive stuff. He's kind of playing the piano a little bit. Look at the bird! Look at the micro, dude!
Yeah.
He's actually crazy at this. What?
He's not leaving damage on the table, that's for sure.
Barely getting away on a little bit of HP. In comes Unleashed, looking to finish off the dragon. Will he be able to
Even
do
with
it?
the urn, he doesn't die. Dragon Knight.
Pops the time lapse.
Tanky there.
Balance still low though. Psycho's looking for him. But the Spirit Siphon, they turn it around. He's going to get finished off, and Unleashed still in the backside.
Oh, Reem's ruptured. He's glimpsed as well.
They might be able to find the Visage here. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a dead bird. And Unleashed just chilling in the trees right now.
Yeah, I mean, Reem, he tried so hard there, right? And his hero was well out of the fight, but they run him down afterwards. Like, if his team dives, this boot, I guess he has boots now, but Visage is not kind of sneaking out of that fight, and so every time you get to kill the enemy mid laner, that's brutal.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, it's definitely an unlucky fight, to say the least, but Blink Dagger nearly completed for Balance, about 1,000 gold away or so.
I don't know how unlucky it is, right? Like, they're not missing their spells, they're just lacking the damage, right? You saw they couldn't kill, you know, Love before, or they couldn't kill, Ramen Noodles. That fight, they couldn't kill Balance. Like, they're blowing everything, and they're just not getting these heroes down. Although, now this is a great initiation on a Turtle Frenzy. Takes DP out.
Just dead. That's a very clean kill. And they might be looking for more here, actually, as they chase. Apple with a great glimpse is going to force Andros out of the fight.
Oh, these birds might get killed. They're going to try. Oh, the Dragon Tail stun to stop the bird from escaping. Pretty cool.
He gets it. Plus 100.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the real reason to pick DK here, right? It's a bird's counter, clearly.
Oh, absolutely.
Can Axe chop the birds? I know you can chop couriers.
No. What? Could you imagine how disgusting? What, Quelling Blade for 100 gold? Yeah, that makes sense.
In a fight though, you know, especially if there's no resummon, right? Like, I don't know, killing the birds is important sometimes. I'm not saying you'd always do it. Anyway, just shouldn't be revealing my lacking game knowledge as an analytical commentator. Anyway, yeah, I mean, Balance in this DK, right? We were talking a lot about him. It seems like he's been a little bit slower to get this Blink Dagger, but his contributions in these fights have been invaluable, both as a frontliner and in his ability to, like, control enemy heroes that they need to bring down while this kind of slow damage of DP and Invoker does its work.
In comes Andros. He's actually going to be joining this fight. So Ramen Noodles picking up a nice little kill on Psycho in the back line while this one is going on. Looking to join the fight, though. Asian Turtle Frenzy is going to get brought down by Andros with the big epicenter.
Yeah.
And then we're going to look for more, trying to go on Reem here. The disarm is popped. Balance chasing after him with those Dragon Form autos. They do so much damage, but a well-placed Burrow Strike from Andros is going to stun them up and maybe buy some time. He's got the epicenter going on. Nice tornado, though, coming through from Sir Ramen Noodles. Godlike with a triple kill at the moment. Time-lapse used by Unleashed to try and get himself out to safety, but it's not enough. Appa has to watch out, though. Incognizel could maybe finish off the kill with this gargoyle. No, they do find it. Another plus 100 going over to Balance. You know,
yeah, it's really interesting.
you know, looking at the score, he's only 4-4-3. You might think like, wow, he hasn't fed that much, but I think that's like the 5th bird that he's fed to balance. That's like 500 gold total.
I mean, when you say he's fed to balance, like, there's not that much that he can do, right? Save the bird in that situation, but it just goes to show, like, even if it's not a player issue, maybe it's a sign that they have scouted this Visage draft well, and Balance knows exactly what he's doing in terms of exploiting it, and they're not just killing the birds, they're killing this Visage every fight. They're killing the Sand King, right? Last game, we saw Andros and Reem be basically unkillable on their heroes, especially that Kunkka was just too tanky and too fast. Visage is proving a much more easy hero to bring down, even when the fights don't start well, right? Like, I would have said that killing Asian Turtle Frenzy that fast and wasting the Exorcism cooldown, it's a great way to be, right? Bird's definitely paying for themselves there, but then the rest of the team is just unperturbed and they collapse straight onto Reem and kill him. It's like the Sand King alone can't peel for their mid laner, and I don't know what else they need to do, but they have to be able to keep him alive.
Yeah, certainly might need something here, but the shard completed on Balance, so the GPM is probably going to spike up on this Chaos Knight, and again, getting that very, very scary late game. Did decide to go for the shard before the Blink Dagger, which I do think makes a little bit of sense, because if you go the shard first, instead of going Blink Shard, the shard increases your GPM to get the Blink faster than if you had done it the other way around, so you probably complete both items in a less amount of time.
Yeah, there's some argument that, you know, oh, you can blink from camp to camp to, like, be faster in farming, but you're right in that it won't add up as much. I don't think blinking from camp to camp outweighs the farming capacity of DK Shard. That thing one-shots waves.
I
was just saying there is an amount. Blink Dagger will make you, you know, GPM, it will raise your GPM, even though it doesn't provide stats for creep killing. However, Smoke, okay, lasts about a half a second, and then he runs straight down the hill into the Sand King, who's so great gameplay, and now they're going to crush this fight as a result.
Yeah, the glimpse is used to try and get Reem out of the fight, and it might do just the trick as Ramen Noodle's going godlike, but Loved also doing his fair share with a double kill, and they are going to be able to surround Reem and bring him down.
Oh my goodness.
Q managing to get out though, they are just chasing after the Phantasms. He might even save a couple of his Phantasms. So this one will go down, but yeah, really good fight coming through from the lineup of No Tinker, and Sir Ramen Noodles, you know, his Invoker was definitely right to be banned out in game one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not putting anything against Upper. I thought that it made sense why the IO, you know, got a look in the first phase of bans in game 2, but man, when you compare how much it was able to contribute compared to Sir Ramen Noodles, 10-0-6 on the Invoker currently, he's everywhere in this game right now, and top of the net worth, or fighting for top of the net worth at least. You have to respect that impact. That is some incredible stuff for a Cosmos Invoker, and yeah, Balance has really ended up finding a great game on this DK, despite those first couple of levels. They just hung in the lane, and okay, Unleashy Fish starting to work his own way back into the game here, working towards, again, that Spirit Vessel, but overall it seems like the draft is just working out way better this time. I don't know what the difference was in their philosophy between game 1 and game 2. They kind of went with a completely different draft on No Tinker. Maybe they just had a couple of pages in their book they wanted to try out. This one, I like more.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you know that the star player of this team is Balance. It's no secret. Everybody knows that.
He's in a top, actually, by himself. That could be risky.
Yeah, as I say that, he's maybe not looking too hot as he does get melted down the epicenter. Tries to get the TP. Is he out? Ooh, just barely. Right as I compliment Balance, he goes ahead and
I really
dies
thought he was going to live. He had 9
curse.
charges on his wand there. I don't know if there was even that many when he started the TP, but like it was that close, right? If he'd been able to get 4 or 5 1 charges out, he might have lived. Rough.
Yeah, certainly was a very near escape. Oh, but Reem might be second on the chopping block here. EMP is going to take out a good amount of his mana bar. Sunstrike is
on
used.
The glimpse.
It hits.
No.
Rupture?
They missed the field combo.
Is he dead?
Though.
He is! He's going to die to Rupture. Meanwhile, though, the fight is going to keep on going as Unleashed Fish looking to chase down Appa with the Shikuchi. So Ramen Noodles, 1 attack from death, and he is going to get brought down. And again, Reem may be dead, but the Gargoyles are not, and they find themselves loved in the trees, and that is going to be a huge win for UofAndros, I should say. It's very weird
I
to
think
say.
That's Visage, right? That's like a kind of very special kind of playstyle when you have that as your mid hero. Like, the fact they've been killing him in the other fights, they've been killing Reem at the end of the engagement. They've just been kind of collapsing onto him and his birds and picking them off, right? When you initiate onto him and you dive into him to kill Visage the hero and not the birds, you're right, like all the turn potential is still on the table because the birds are so much of Reem's damage, right? He's kind of just an aura horse at this point, or a bird. And yeah, his team definitely cleaned that up. Unleashy just got so much gold from that for a support weaver. It's just fully completed the Spirit Vessel, which is going to be a huge add for them, right? And helping to slow down the survivability of Turtle Frenzy and Balance. Maybe this is the start of a turnaround.
And they'll pop in the smoke here, looking for a cheeky little smoke play onto these fellas sitting in the top side. We'll have to wait and see if they're able to take him down. The blink is there. Will they find the stun onto Hugh? Yes, they will. They've got him in the cage. Meatball dropped, and there is the Aegis exploded immediately at the start. Asian Turtle Frenzy popping the exorcism though, but the damage is just so much, and he is going to get melted down immediately by Incognizzle's birds. And meanwhile, another beautiful tornado coming through from Sir Ramen Noodles. They've got him in the Static Storm at the moment. They might be able to bring down Hugh, but he is just so tanky at this point of the game, and he does so much damage, melting down Appa, sending him right back to the fountain. Ooh. And as well as that, Balance is going to meet the same exact fate. Hugh really getting to that point on Chaos Knight where he is scaled, and look at this, he just won't die. Killing spree with a triple kill. Unleashy Fish finding himself a nice little kill in the backside as well onto Loved, who was trying to scurry away to mid, and that is going to be an absolutely beautiful turnaround there by this side, and they're looking for more. Sir Ramen Noodles also looking like he's not going to get out of this one alive. Does have one charge on the Spirit Vessel, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is just going to try and get the Midas off and back. Yeah, that TP is not going to be able to get him out in time.
Man, after I regret complimenting them. I think I put on a little bit of the caster curse there, because no Tinker after looking so good for most of this game. Back-to-back back-breaking fights, and that one was a real spine snapper for sure, right? You already just gave up a lot of gold, right? The huge kill streak on the Invoker, all your cores died, right? And you ceded a lot of ground. They smoke up and go back in, which I don't hate, but just really unfortunate that Balance blinking forward finds the enemy's super power spiking, Aegis holding Chaos Knight carry, and they commit to that first kill, but I mean, I don't know if they could have gotten out at any point realistically, but certainly they just can't get away fast enough from this particular team. So much catch, and they just get dragged back into an awful fight where he was more than happy to absorb spells and just soak up all of the damage, all of the ults.
I love Sand King's little like injured walk when he.
Yeah,
he's like holding his little claws to his chest, like ugh.
He's trying to, it's like, be careful about like how you're holding your wound. You got pointy fingers full of poison, you know, like he's gonna accidentally make it worse. But no, fortunately he does make it back to base, so everyone's favorite bug will be rehabilitated. And yeah, now suddenly I feel as though, you know, hopes are very grim again because I don't know Tinker. I thought they had a lot of momentum, but a couple of fights go bad in a row, and they've just, as you mentioned, kind of walked right into the most powerful peak, or one of the most powerful peaks of this Chaos Knight hero. Is about to complete a BKB as well, and then it might truly be high ground time. Whether or not they want to wait for another Aegis, I'm not sure. You know, Chaos Knight not always the greatest Aegis carrier, but it certainly doesn't hurt, as we saw there, and regardless, they now have control of their opponent's jungle once again, and they can really set the pace. Yep. Turtle Frenzy is smoked basically alone behind them in mid right now. I'm not certain what they're going for with this. It might have been warding, but I don't really see any dire wards up on the bottom side of the map. So I think maybe the rest of the team just gave up on that smoke move, and now they're trying to go further in.
Loved. Little sneaky peeky like, picking up the ancient camp. Balancing here in the bot side. He's just going to TP back to top, knows that his team might need him, but he has to watch out. He is actually sandwiched at the moment. Very scary spot to be in. Pops the dragon form. They do know that Andros is there. They do find themselves a nice little kill onto Asian Turtle Frenzy in the high ground. And they also do go 1-for-1 though, as they do grab that pick onto Andros. That's huge. No epicenter for this upcoming fight. Yeah. So Ramen Noodles going to go walk in the backside. They do find themselves balanced though, and the damage is ridiculous. Balance gets exploded, and they find themselves loved as well, just walking up a little bit too far.
Like, far out. There's just no limits to the physical damage output of this hero when it's rolling, and unfortunate that they caught that, because yeah, that was a great pickup onto Andros, and it looked like an okay trade for the DP, but you just see how the game is starting to slip away from them now. They can't even escape with that 1-for-1 clean trade after using all of their spells to stop the Sand King from contributing. They have to lose another core on top of it, and now their high ground will be under dire threat.
Or radiant threat, one should say.
Yeah. Fair cop. They're in dire straits. How about that? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay, speaking of dire straits, Hugh just rips into Turtle Frenzy. 2-shot, nearly 3-shotted, but decides not worth overcommitting, not even wanting to press the BKB button to try and hunt that kill. They got what they came for. Both top barracks now reduced to rubble, and you know, every one of these fight losses or loss of base collateral is like a hammer blow to the hopes of no Tinker. They glimpse back in though.
Yeah, balance. Has to watch out. Those phantasms are there. They have one-shot him before, and they can one-shot him again.
He was, yeah. I mean, these phantasms, they've got a lot of uptime, but you know, maybe if they can find Hugh in the downtime of the ultimate. But he's being very careful with this BKB, right? We saw how much trouble they had killing him even without the BKB. Certainly, if they can't get a clean combo of ultimates off on this hero, then they're not going to be able to bring him down within their stun chain, and he's going to slip away from them. So it's feeling very difficult for them to get a meaningful kind of win that would let them get back out on the map and take some objectives of their own. They've basically just got their Bloodseeker farming bottom, and that's it for now.
Defending the high ground. You know, chilling.
Yep.
Dire's middle tower is under
Wait and
attack.
see. I don't know. At this point of the game, it is just sort of
Is under attack.
a farm fest, right? You got balance catching waves with the shard, grabbing that mid tier 2 that's still poking its head out. But, you know, interestingly, that despite we're at this point of the game, there has been no movement made from this UofAndros lineup to take any of the bottom tier towers. It looks like maybe they might be moving down towards the triangle now and forcing that one out at this point of the game. But yeah, they've just been focused on a very like top and mid game plan in terms of their pushes.
Yeah, it's interesting. In game 1, right, if you remember, even though the Luna was in the triangle, they were kind of seemingly happy to just occupy the large jungle on the bottom side and pretty much hold that up, right? And just say, we're never leaving this part of the map. We're going to ward it up very heavily. If you deward it, we'll just come back and ward it again. And they're confident that that's enough of a map share that their cores are going to get the job done. And it's proven true both games. So whether that's like specifically a U of A efficiency thing, or whether they've just done some maths about the, you know, distribution of farm across the map on this patch, who knows? But now they're going to fight it.
Ooh, and fight they will indeed. In comes Hugh, though, looking to melt down Loved. He's actually staying alive, though, quite well. Can't say the same for Unleashy Fish. He was going to get melted down. The buyback used immediately, though. So Ramen Noodles in the Ghost Walk. That buyback. Will it save the fight? No, it looks like they're just going to disengage as the BKB drops, and so Ramen Noodles, and not too keen to try and turn things around and have another go.
Dire's bottom
Yeah.
tower is under attack.
Man, that BKB was pretty big for Ramen Noodles. He's been having an outsized impact most of this game that was starting to be curtailed in the last couple of fights, but now with a fresh BKB, he's able to jump back into things and, you know, hit the button in time that fight to stay alive and high HP and contribute, and they're able to get a decent fight as a result. I don't know if they can manage that consistently, but, you know, it's at least better than they've been doing recently. I think that's going to be their first bump on the win percent graph in quite a while. And, I mean, you're thinking we talked about it, if they're Dragon Knight, even though it's not their primary carry, maybe if it gets to late game, it's got like 2 items on it right now, so who knows how far away that is.
I was 100% going to say that. Level 25 Dragon Knight with the Dragon Blood talent, plus Aghanims here, I don't see a way that they actually kill him. I think he is just going to become an absolute machine if he's allowed to get to that item point. It's a fair way away, and the chances are slim, but I'm not saying it's impossible.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, there are some games where teams truly are just kind of, like, hanging in there just in case, and, like, it's hard to even articulate fully what scenario might happen when they come back, but there's something here with their draft where they aren't just, like, holding onto their base for pride alone, and they may actually have caught Psycho trying to de-ward as the rest of the team kind of try to figure out whether they were going to make a move on bottom for Loved. Maybe we're actually going to see a full-on fight, depending on how fast they make this kill.
I think he's just
they
gonna
get there.
Die very quickly and simply, and there is no response at all, and they do have a 5v4 situation. Buyback available on the Undying, of course, but they do have to watch out. Still an 11k gold lead on the side of UofAndros.
Yeah, and the Dire there, they immediately throw out their scan because they're like, damn, they didn't come to help their boy there. Are they in the pit? Is Roshan up yet? But it isn't, and they aren't. They were actually pretty close to coming to help their boy, but Hugh, I think, realized it may have been foolhardy to blink into what they no longer had vision of without an Aegis and potentially lose himself as well as far more important hero. But yeah, a little bit more breathing room being established. You're kind of redrawing those lines of engagement outside the Dire base. Now they have access to their triangle again. They're taking some of the close neutral camps, but of course the trade-off is that their opponents did back off to pick up some items, regroup for a smoke, and consider the bigger objective that has just respawned on the top side of the map.
Yeah, they're just going to go for Roshan here. They do Roshan stupidly quickly. Bugs just give you access to that minus armor that just continuously ticks on Roshan. And yeah, he can absolutely just get melted, as we see just there. And that is going to be Aegis going over to Reem this time, actually, instead of Hugh.
Yeah, Psycho getting the shard on Undying here, so the Flesh Golem upgrade just gets some more ultimates out, I guess. It's a nice little extra if everyone else on your team already has the shard, which I think is the case.
Yeah, the shard is really cool.
Made...
One of my favorite Dota builds is like position 3 Undying with shard and like Echo Saber, and you just run around and just like smack. You just ult and then just like smack people and just absolutely cover them in ghouls and they can't play.
Yeah.
It's great.
Sounds great. I like Posterior Undying. I hadn't really considered the Echo Saber potential, but yeah, you know what? Sounds pretty real for that hero. Stats must be nice on a early game as well for spamming out some spells, and yeah, leverage what you got there. So, I mean, it is also, I think, a consequence of the fact that IceFrog's made so many hero shards so good in this patch that it's like, you don't want to wait to get the shard off of Roshan. Everyone just buys theirs at 15 minutes, right? He's the last hero on this team who didn't have the upgrade, so they kind of just hand it over to him. But at least they're getting some value out of it, and now they could potentially get some value out of a DD rune. They're pinging it up here, and they're sending over Hugh, and perhaps this plus the various Roshan goodies will be enough to encourage them to high ground. They did put the Aegis on Reem Nizzle this time, not on the Chaos Knight. I mean, you know, do you rate that decision?
I think Hugh is just too hard to kill as it is, you know. It's like,
fair enough.
Why give Aegis to someone that won't die? I mean, it makes sense in my head, and you know, Reem.
Oh, they found the DP. Yeah, that's a great start.
We've seen time and time again, you know, Reem is the focus in these fights. He is the target in these fights, so it does make sense in my head why you would want to put the Aegis on him.
Oh no, the DK's going to die as well. This is just going to end before it starts.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 picks. The buyback is used, but I mean, whether or not they're going to be able to hold the racks, that's another question. The buyback is also there for the DP if she wants.
Just a little lackadaisical in the base defense, right? I mean, look, we're seeing Hugh, right? The initiation range is insane, but you understand that's what the hero does, so you got to be there with 5 heroes. They're going to fight it out, though.
Yeah, in comes Balance. This is going to be do or die for the side of Dire. Appa just getting one shot by Reem in the backside.
Lord.
So Ramen Noodle's having to watch out. He's going to do the same. He is dropping low, but he does have that Aegis available, remember. Meanwhile, Loved getting dropped very low over this side as well. We've got fights breaking out all over the base, but look at this Dragon Knight. So tanky. He finds one. They find the first life of Reem as well. He's going to go come back with the Aegis, though. Will they be able to do it again? Oh my goodness. In comes Andros with the epicenter. They've done it once. They're going to do it again as Andros and Reem, the 2 star players of this lineup, absolutely turn around what looked like a bad situation. They find Balance. They find Asian Turtle Frenzy. It is a 5 versus 2 with no buybacks available. I'm thinking this is looking like game.
Yeah, I mean, that was a valiant last stand, right? All buybacks used, everyone committed. It was a nice moment to even pick as well, especially given how it started. Mate, who knows how that fight goes if everyone's in the base, like, fully prepared and they don't just get, like, 2 free kills on very important heroes. But unfortunately, it's kind of just the nature of the UofAndros draft. They have unparalleled ability to just open targets up and kill heroes before anyone can even react. And that's what they were able to do for most of the game, right? Especially after they got those couple of key timings on the Chaos Knight, they were able to find 2 quick fights off it. Really, you know, break the momentum, break the back of this No Tinker lineup. But no shade on USYD No Tinker. They fought it out as we would expect based on how well both these teams have performed. It was a battle. And although, you know, as you mentioned, the star power and the coordination and the great drafting from UofAndros really kind of left them a cut above in both games, I would be interested to see this match played again. You know, who knows what, later in the season, USYD have a bit more practice, they know exactly what they're doing with the drafts, and they have this experience under their belts, they could still be a threat.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited to see where this USYD No Tinker team goes, and you know, I feel like they are going to be a team that takes this defeat, this 2-0 that they have been on the losing end of, and don't use it as something to be discouraged by in the tournament, but they're going to use these VODs to go over like absolute scripture, and they're going to use that to win their future games and get even better and get even scarier. You know, they are up against the team that has a lot of prestige. Runner-ups for last season, had a very dominant season all the way through, and they are coming back into this one as the team to beat, and to, you know, have a fairly competitive game in both of these matches tonight has definitely been an absolute statement that USYD No Tinker are certainly able to, you know, go toe-to-toe with the big dogs in this season's league.
Yeah, if they're not the leader of the race, they're in the peloton, right? They're in that top echelon of teams. They are a competitor. This is a team that's within striking distance, right? And you know that even in, you know, Uni League, you know, say what you want about it, but everyone who plays games at this level wants to be better, wants to be competitive, wants to take down the top dogs, the big name players, right? So this is, if nothing else, additional motivation for USYD No Tinker to keep tinkering with these drafts, right? Like, yeah, that draft had something going for it. Who knows? Maybe they already know from that match alone what they want to swap out next time, try and enable balance a little more, maybe try and give Loved a bit more farm in the safe lane to start things out. Whatever they diagnose, I'd be, you know, still really want to watch both these teams going forward.
Yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And speaking of which, if you would like to watch these teams going forward, well, you'll have to do so right here on the Australian Esports League's Uni League for 2022's Season 1. And you can do that, of course, by making sure to follow all of the wonderful socials that AEL have going on. AU Esports League on, of course, Twitter, TikTok as well, which I don't know we had a TikTok shout out last season, but AU Esports League on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all those good places, and of course right here on Twitch, where I know a lot of you are tuned in, AEL Uni, and of course the second channel as well, AEL Uni 2, because sometimes you got two different games that are going on at the same time, so need to have it split across two different channels. Obviously that makes sense. So if you want to make sure, I should say, that you don't miss a single game of the Dota 2 Uni League, you have to follow both channels so that if we are playing on the second one, you'll get a notification for that one as well. But as well as that, if you want to thank our wonderful sponsors, Bard, that have brought us these great games tonight.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know what it's all about. Our sponsors are the ones helping to provide such a great experience, both indirectly by supporting this league with their sponsorship, but also directly by offering you great gaming hardware, great gaming products. That'll be Predator for the gaming PC sponsorship, AOC for the best possible viewing experience with the monitors, as you mentioned yourself. Kadius, I know you love to bring up, you yourself have benefited from AOC Monitor technology for a very long time. You can speak to the veracity of their claims, and of course Rig headsets, which are equally a joy to use, and fully, of course, we recommend all of these products, and we thank the sponsors for helping to make this league a reality, right? I love watching these players play. Absolutely.
Thank the sponsors, thank the players, and of course, thank you, the viewer, for tuning in tonight, and we'll be sure to catch you on the next week, or the next broadcast for more Dota 2 action right here. But until then, we're going to throw it over to the end screen. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Thursday night.